Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to discuss an important technical concept that you must understand if you're dealing with APIs and webhooks on a regular basis. And that concept is nothing but a JSON. Now, if you're wondering what the heck is a JSON, well, JSON stands for a JavaScript Object Notation. And it has some relation to the fact that it came from the language JavaScript. But in this context, we don't need to worry about JavaScript. We are not talking about code here. All we care about is the JSON itself. So JavaScript Object Notation is a mouthful. So sometimes people just refer to it as a JSON object or simply object. So if you notice that I interchange between JSON, JSON object, or object, just remember that I'm talking about the same thing, and that is JSON. Okay, so that's the acronym, JavaScript Object Notation. So what exactly is it? Well, if you look at the official definition, it says it is a lightweight format for storing and transporting data on the web. Storing and transporting data on the web. Okay, so what happens is when you're dealing with APIs and webhooks, right, you're either sending some kind of data or you're receiving some data back from the server. But there was a problem back in the day that how exactly do we send this data? Data always takes space and it has to be optimized. It has to be sent in a certain format so that the receiver or the sender can understand how to parse this data, how to understand what this data stands for. So some smart people realized that JavaScript already has a very smart method of creating objects. So why don't we just adapt from it and create a version of the JavaScript object which can be used across the web. So it doesn't matter what language you're working with, whether you're working with code, whether you're working with no code. As long as there is a need to send or receive data, a JSON can be used to do so. Okay, so it's nothing but a format for storing and transporting data on the web. Very good. So that's the definition. So it mentions a lightweight format. So the next thing we should discuss is what is this format? Very good. So the format is actually pretty simple. And this is where a lot of people get confused because the definitions are all over the place. But all you have to remember when it comes to a JSON is that it is nothing but a collection of data in the form of key and value pairs. It's just a bunch of data collected together in the form of key and value pairs. That's all there is to it, a collection of data in the form of key and value pairs. Okay, so that's the format. Now, what does that look like? Well, so if you take a look at a simple example, and this is an empty JSON, this actually doesn't contain any data in it. So all you get is an open curly brace and a closed curly brace. That's it. So open and close. And that right there is your first JSON. It doesn't contain any data. So when you see such a notation on your screen, you can assume that this particular JSON is valid, but has no data in it. Very good. So that's a simple example. And if we build on top of this and we start adding some things to it, so remember, it's a collection of data in the form of key and value pairs. So what if we want to add some data to it? So all you will have to do is add a pair of key and value. So for example, in this case, we still have that open and closing curly brace, but now you're adding a key and a value. So on the left, and it has to be in quotes just like this, the key here is a name or just name. And the value for this key is foo. So in this case, whatever this object is for, assuming it is for a person or the object is representing some data about a person or a user, their name happens to be foo. So this is your simple example. This is a valid JSON. It only has one key and value pair. And this way, if you want to send this data across the web or you want to receive this data from somewhere, you can do so using this format. Very good. So this is a JSON with single key and value pair. The key is a name and value is foo. Very good. Now, so if we keep defining this, the other thing to remember is the key and value pairs are also called properties. So in this example, you can say that this JSON only has one property because a pair, a key and value pair, is also known as a property. So this particular object only has a single property, one property, that's it. And the other thing to remember, so I already told you that a JSON contains collection of data in form of key and value pairs. So key can be anything. So key just represents the data that you're trying to send. So this could have been name, age, gender, location, whatever. So those are just key names, or also known as variable names sometimes. But the value is the actual data that you want to send. The left side is just to tell the receiver or the sender that this is the kind of data being transported or being stored. But the actual value, so the name is just the type of data, but then the value is the actual name, right? So the left side can be anything. You can decide what this is, but the right side, the value is the actual data. So this will represent the data that you are looking to transport or store. So that being said, the value part is just data. But then the next question that comes to mind is that what kind of data can it store, right? So that's actually also pretty simple. There's not much to it. It can be the data. So key will always be a string under quotes. And then on the right side, on the value side, it can be a string, for example, hello world. And again, string has to be in quotes. It can be a number. It can be a number 42. It can be a number with decimals, 3.14, the pi. Or it can also be a true or a false, which is also known as a Boolean. So it can represent that something is true or false. For example, if you're sending some to-do items across the web and you want to send along with that, whether the to-do is done or not, you can send a true or false to represent that. And then this one is a more advanced one if you're not familiar with arrays, but essentially this is another type of data that you can send, and think of it as a list. So maybe a list of fruits, list of colors, and this is the format that you're going to use to send this data. So that's the other one, and then there's a few more, and then we'll talk about that in a second. But to remember, left side is key, right side is value, which is data. Data can be of different types. It can be a string, number, Boolean array, and a couple others. Okay, very good. So now, just to put this in perspective, this is another valid JSON. So this has 3 properties, 3 key value pairs, and the keys are name, age, and favorite colors. So just like I mentioned, name is foo. In this case, age happens to be of type number. So this doesn't need any quotes. It can just be sent as is, just the number itself. But then colors, favorite colors, by the name, it suggests that it's more than one. It's a list of colors. So then to send a list, you have to use an array, and then you just open a square bracket and close a square bracket. And within that, you have a comma separated value of several values. And these values itself can also be numbers or strings or whatever. Anything that is valid here, anything that is in this list can be part of this list over here. And they don't have to be same either. They can be different. This could have been the string read, and this could have been a number, but we won't go into those details. For now, just remember key value pairs, values data, and data can be of type string, number, Boolean, array, and a couple others that we're okay. So that leads us to the next step that I've been mentioning. So key value pairs are called properties. Value can be some data, or it can be another collection of key value pairs. So this is where the JSON gets really powerful. So far we looked at the simple data types. So far we looked at string, number, Boolean, and array. But I kept saying that we'll come back to this one. And the reason for that is because it is what makes JSON super powerful. Because by virtue of this, what we are saying here is that data can be another collection of key value pairs, meaning that data can be another JSON. So by that virtue, over here in this example, this could have been a JSON, and that allows us to create some really complicated data structures that can be sent across the web with just this simple definition of a key value pair. So let's take a look. In this example, it can be some data or another collection of key value pairs. Basically, the value can also be a JSON, and the values within that JSON can be further a JSON. So we can keep going forever. And that's why if a value is a JSON, it can also be referred to as a nested object. So if we bring everything together, let's take a look at another example. So in this example, we have the name, which is foo, gender is male, and then location. So now on the right, we need some data. This data in this example is another JSON. And this particular JSON represents the location. And within this JSON, we have country, we have city. So again, JSON is just key value pairs. This whole thing is a set of key value pairs. And then this particular value on the right for location, this particular part of the data is also another JSON with its own key value pairs. So this whole thing is the JSON, and then this part over here is a nested object or a nested JSON. Very good. So that's pretty much, there is to a JSON. Just remember the definition. If you ever get in a doubt, all you have to remember is, and I've repeated myself several times, a JSON is nothing but a collection of data in the form of key and value pairs. That data can be of different types, and those types are listed here: string, number, Boolean, array, objects, so nested objects, or basically another key value pair collection. And it can also be null. Basically, sometimes there's no value. Let's say you say gender, but you don't know what the gender is, so you can send a null, or you say age, but you don't know what the actual value is. So you send the key along, representing that there was supposed to be some data here, but we don't know what it is. So we're just going to send null so that the receiver knows, or whoever is retrieving the data knows that, okay, there was supposed to be something here, but it's not known, or it's null. Awesome. So that's the definition, but it's always good to take a look at some examples. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, first of all, show you first tool. And this tool is called a JSON formatter, and it's available on the TopTool website. But what this allows you to do is, if you have some JSON handy and you want to see, and sometimes you're getting these weird errors that JSON is not valid and all that stuff, but you don't know what's going on. So you can just paste the JSON here and it will tell you whether it's valid or not. And if it's not valid, it'll tell you what the error is so that you can fix it. So for example, I told you, if you just type open and closing curly braces, that is a valid JSON, and this formatter has also confirmed that JSON is valid. Although there's no data in it, it's empty, there's no values, but it's still valid. And look what happens if I remove the closing one. Now it says that I'm expecting this thing at the end, and this is not a valid JSON, so please fix it. So we put it back, and now it says JSON is valid. Very good. So we can keep going. We can add something here. So we can add some data here. So let's use the same example from our slides. And then we will say this is John. Oh, by the way, yeah, between the key value pairs is this colon. So that's definitely key. And then when you have multiple values, so if you have a single value, you can just enter the key and the value and then close the curly braces, and then you get your valid JSON. So now you can see it knows that, okay, this is the key. It even shows you a different color for the key and different color for the value. So this is a valid JSON. But if you add another key value pair, so if I add age, they want to add a number for it, and now it will say that there's an error. And that is because between the key value pairs, there has to be these commas. So once I add this comma, now the JSON is valid. And if I add a comma at the very end, it is again going to complain because it is expecting another key value pair here, but it did not find it. So let's remove this one. So now this is valid. And if you really want to like prettify it, so on the text side, it doesn't matter, but on the right, you will see that there's this indentation. And that becomes really helpful when you're looking at a very large JSON. And if it's not formatted correctly like it is on the right side, it gets really hard to understand exactly what's going on. And if I were to add another one here, and if I were to add another object, so if I add location, and then I create an object to represent that, and in here I'll say city is Toronto, and country is Canada. So notice what happens here. I need to close this nested object. There we go. So now it knows that this is a nested object, and you can actually minimize it. So you can just see, if you just want to see all the keys, now you can see that there are 3 keys, 3 properties, name, age, and location. And this one is an object, so it gives you this option to collapse it. Because if the object, again, is really long, and you just want to browse it, and then you look at it, what all it entails, it's really handy if you can collapse the nested objects like this. And you can collapse the whole object if you want as well. So that's how the JSON formatters work. This one is pretty handy. I'll leave the link to it below in the description so you can find it. And then finally, let's see some practical examples. So this is how you format it, but where are you actually using it? So a couple of examples, right? So first one is when you're sending data. And typically you are sending a data when you're making an API call, right? So let me open my Postman. And I have a bunch of calls here, so I'm just going to pick one random one. And this is a post call, meaning I'm creating something on the server. Post is typically used when you're creating something new. And in this case, it happens to be a push notification service. So basically what I'm creating is a push notification. And to create this notification, I'm supposed to send a JSON. And you can see here in the body of the request, I have some params here, some headers and stuff here. and then the body, the actual data that is being sent in the JSON format. That is what the server expects. There are other formats as well, but we want to send it in a JSON format. So what we do is we come here and we type JSON. And if I were to take this just as is and paste it here, it comes like this. It is valid JSON. It just doesn't look beautiful. So there's a nice little button here that says Purify. You click on that, and then it will add proper indentation in your object. So you can see that these are the main keys, and then these are the sub keys within the nested object. So this is how, and then you can just click send, and then this data will be sent on the web, across the web to the server. And the server will know how to find the name, the age, and location because we have told it that the data is coming in as a JSON object. Very good. So this is how you send data. And what about on the other side? What about when you receive data? So typically when you make a GET call, the data would come back in a JSON format, and it can come back in different formats, but we are talking about JSON here. So we will take a look at one of those examples. So I have a make scenario here, and all it's doing is it's a webhook call, and it basically fetches my uncompleted tasks and then does some data massaging on that. And in the end, it will return my first task back and all the other details about that first task. So let me just copy this URL here, go back to Postman, make a GET call, and I'm just going to paste this URL. And let's see what happens. So if I hit send, and now look here, it says that we got some data back, and it is already formatted as a JSON because in the make scenario, actually, in the settings, I tell that I'm sending a JSON back. So Postman here knows that, okay, the data that is coming in, because if you look at the raw data, it's just this string. But because we already mentioned that this is a JSON object, it was able to format it nicely. So we can see this is the content of the task is not deleted, it's priority 1, so on and so forth. So whatever data, it doesn't matter in this example, but the point of the matter is that we are getting a JSON back from the server. And it's in the same format. You can see that we have some numbers. So this is the number here, so it doesn't have any quotes. These are all strings. And then there's also a null. So that's a good example as well. And there could have been a list of something and so on and so forth. I could have had tags on this task, which could have come back as a list or basically an array. So you can do all sorts of things. So this is really, really robust, very useful. And you can do basically all kinds of data that you will be sending on the web through APIs or webhooks or receiving data will be done in this format for a majority of the use cases. So it's very important that you understand this, but now I've given you a simple definition, and that is all that you have to remember. It is a collection of data in the form of key and value pairs, and just remember that the data can be of these 5 or 6 types. And that's all there is to it. Once you understand this and you have all these tools to your disposal, you can be using JSON in your work on a day-to-day basis without any issues. So that's it for today. I hope you liked the video. I'll stop here for this one, and I'll see you next time.